all in this together. Make this world better.
We cannot put ourselves in the hands of the medical profession. The pharmaceutical trust is a disaster. It is the #3 cause of death in the United States of America is iatrogenic disease. We've got to get out of that system in its entirety. Those of you who are not on my mailing list, and you would like to be, you get a newsletter on this issue, Body, Mind, Spirit newsletter, every single month. Some of my assistants, you see one of my assistants has been my assistant for about 50 years now. You'll see her in the red also. That's my wife.
And now, word from your sponsor. No. Thank you, Dr. Sorge. And we have a latecomer that just came in from ABC, is Dr. Howard.
If I'm panting and breathing hard, that's because I was running. Well, it's great to be here again. We haven't been here in a couple of years because I've been overseas most of the time when you guys have been having your expo, and I always love coming to these. I am a developer of Balance of Nature, which is a whole fruit and vegetable supplement. Studied medicine and chiropractic, and the last 15 years have really centered that on nutrition and helping my patients reduce the amount of drugs rather than everybody else increasing the amount of their drugs. We're going to be doing a lecture here directly after this panel, and it's the FDA, friend or foe. I don't think I need to tell most of you what that is, but I will give you exact information of things that we actually as doctors discuss behind the doors. So Balance of Nature, like I said, is a whole fruit and vegetable supplement. It is complete, and it saves time, money, energy, and makes you healthy. So
Great. Okay, again, we're not going to talk about specifics as far as, and Dr. Howell's very, he missed the beginning, he's very knowledgeable, but we're also about like, really commercials. What we're talking about though is, I mean, if there's things in Balance of Nature, he'll tell you what the things are that are important. My passion, of course, is, I'm a vegetarian since '75, but my passion is Dr. Ann Wigmore used to live with me for 4 weeks a year, for a week. So she lived with me 4 weeks a year, for 7 years. And I was the first person to sell wheatgrass juice, which, to me, the closest composition to your blood is chlorophyll. You want to drink as much green, eat as much green as you can. And Brenda and Serva and Ryan all big proponents of that. Live food, living food. But it kind of makes sense that what you put in your body, you want to be as healthy, as like Serva says, as vital and as energetic as you can. So let me have a question and read directly into it. First row, yes.
What do you recommend for someone who has blood clots who's on Coumadin and can't eat foods?
Okay, what would you recommend for someone, that's a very good question. Somebody has blood clots that's on curcumin and can't eat greens. Dr. Howard.
Number one, you're on Coumadin, and as a physician, I'm telling you, you can eat greens.
Yeah.
Here's the big key. Here's what I tell my patients to tell, or my customers, whatever they call, and I tell them, which would you rather have? Which would you rather take into your body, rat poison or fruits and vegetables within your blood? It's a pretty easy one. I'd rather not have the rat poison. That's what Coumadin really is. And the key to that is...
Explain that that's literal, eh?
Oh, that's very literal. If you want to save money, no, don't do this. But I have to say, my patients, if you want to go down to the farmer's market or the farmer's co-op, if you can't afford your Coumadin, and you can just buy a block of Coumadin that you feed rats to kill them and just shave off a little. It's the same stuff. Don't do that, though, please. I don't want anybody to eat your Coumadin.
You didn't hear that? The New Life experiment.
Don't do it, don't. But it is the same chemical. So with that, what I'm telling you is, as number one, you can thin your blood without it. that's another subject. But number two, if you just train your doctor and you say, look, I am going to eat this. The thing is, you need to eat consistently amounts. Now, for example, with Mark, he's going to eat a certain amount of green every day. And they can adjust their Coumadin according to that. What they don't understand is with time, they'll be able to drop it. I have every one of my patients is on the reduced, if not off of their Coumadin completely.
Yay! Nick? Wait, there's a second, we have another answer here.
The question is, why are you on blood Coumadin, blood thinners? I've been looking at blood samples for 30 years. I've probably looked at more blood samples than any living human being. I train medical doctors on blood hematology and morphology, and I was trained by Dr. Duverdeck from Germany, Dr. Bradford from San Diego, and Dr. Phil Huxter from Michigan. I've sat down with medical doctors who are actually hematologists, and they were amazed at what I could see under live structure of blood, because in medical school they look at dry samples and they use smears, and they don't really ever see what I see. I can tell you this, that in the medical journal, in individuals it was documented who had hemophilia, which if I cut you, you'd bleed to death. They had high cholesterol level because they were on meat-eating consumption diets. They had very high cholesterol level, and the incidence of heart attack was identical to those who have a high cholesterol level, related to the fact that hemophilia or blood thinning did not prevent the heart attack or stroke. Blood clot thinners are designed after you've been on a heavy, fatty, meaty diet to try and thin the blood at the last insult, when the plaque breaks off from your artery wall and goes up to your brain and restricts the circulation to your brain. That's a stroke, or to the heart, a heart attack. The reality is that the medical journal Lancet reported that garlic, black mushrooms, and scallions thin the blood better than blood Coumadin without the side effects. So if I were you, I would learn about exercise to the point where you bring your heart rate up with a heart monitor safely, because initially if you have clogged arteries, you're at risk. Bring your heart rate up sufficient that you're burning up the triglycerides, which is the main culprit between clumping and fatty blood. And also learn how to follow what most of the speakers here agree is a vegan-like diet, with the exception of one speaker, I believe, but all of them believe that we can reverse atherosclerosis. According to Dr. Blankenhorn, doctors around the country are seeing the documentation reversal of atherosclerosis. So why would you need blood clot thinners and make the drug companies rich if you can get to the cause through a natural method and reverse the disease and stop using the medication, of course, under doctor's guidance?
What did you say, scallions and?
Garlic.
Black mushrooms, garlic, and scallions.
Black mushrooms, garlic, and scallions. And Dr. Clement?
I don't have to add much because he was very thorough. What it is in these green vegetables, and certainly those that he mentioned are among the top, is vitamin E. Discovered at the University of California in 1933 by Evans and Bishops. And there has never been a study conducted on vitamin E that didn't show it was better in its whole food form than Coumadin and Lipitor as a blood thinner. The only other thing I'll add to you is natto. Although we're not big fans of soy, you need to go out today.
Was that natto?
N-A-T-T-O.
N-A-T-T-O,
It's
natto.
actually a Japanese food that most Anglos don't like. I mean, I can taste anything and think it's okay. This one I don't like. And it's a highly fermented soy product that literally emulsifies clots better than any medicine they've ever put on the market. So add that, do what we said, and you're going to be perfectly fine. On a daily basis, we have people on Coumadin. They've never once had a problem on our program. Our program is a green food program.
Yay!
Thank you very much. That was great. That was great. Yes.
I don't want to be redundant and want to pose a very simple question right now. As the doctors on the panel know, and Dr. Delgado, that they are highly recommending and promoting use of a coal-tar derivative, salicylic acid, known as aspirin, that was developed by I.D. Farley back in the 1940s. And we would find it in the Merck manual. It's in the blood. They're telling people to take aspirin, which can cause internal bleeding. I'm sure not really. My question is this another manifestation of the total, more or less, mind control that you have not said exactly, held up by a certain agency? Is there a patent on aspirin, or does it actually have some effects that are beneficial?
Good.
I think the question went into two ways. Number one, let's address aspirin. If you read the journals of medicine, New England JAMA, etc., there's been several studies that show that aspirin have zero effect on cardiovascular concerns. Number two, it also has shown in several, 7 that I've read, that they can lead to ulcers. If one would like to know other things you have coal tar in, most B vitamins are made of coal tar. 87% of all the B vitamins out there are made of coal tar. So this is a trick of the pharmaceutical industry, and certainly you shouldn't be doing that. Lifestyle, as the doctor said, lifestyle is what you need to change.
Dr. Howard.
You know, I'll never forget the day this came out, and I looked at my wife and I said, great. It came out across the radio. They didn't even put it in doctor's offices first. And I said, great. Now you give it 10 years and aspirin is going to be the new vitamin.
That's right.
And every single patient over 65 that comes into me is on aspirin. And I just look at them and I say, do you have an aspirin deficiency? And that's all you ask your doctor that. It is unnecessary, completely unnecessary. They didn't have anything else to do with that after the NSAIDs and the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs started coming out, and they found out a new thing to use it for. That's it. And it doesn't work.
And Dr. Sorge.
Addressing your question concerning the aspirin. If anybody's on aspirin, you want to get off of that stuff. There's a connection between aspirin and bleeding ulcers, and now there's a connection now also with pancreatic cancer. So let's keep that in mind when the brainwashers and the druggers want to tell you to do this and do that. Just remember what I said, the third killer in this country is this kind of nonsense. This kind of brainwashing, this kind of absurdity. I remember back in naturopathic school a long time ago, our professor had us do a little experiment, which you may want to do if you're on aspirin. And you notice how the brainwashing goes. The brainwashing goes to a point to where they go a step further. They call it St. Joseph's aspirin.
We all in